Hello, I'm Emmeline.
And I'm Kindy.
And welcome to Stuff with Moms, a podcast about shows, stories, and enjoying life.
How was your week?
Oh, we gotta say month.
How was your month?
It was great. Got my new job. I am
Yeah?
I am a reading tutor at an elementary school. So,
Oh, nice.
a little reading teacher for kids. And
yeah. So what does that entail? Do you like sit with them while they read to you, or?
Yes, and there's a program. So I work for a nonprofit, and it's this program that you just work with kids to get them kind of back on track for their age, their grade level. So the kids that are kind of behind, you follow this program to just get them back up to snuff. And it's really like successful, and every school that this nonprofit works with has just seen vast improvement. So it's
awesome.
It's a lot of fun. So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah.
When did you start?
In the beginning of March. So.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. And then boys are doing good with school. And then I got to see my family, and that was a lot of fun with my brother's retirement. So he retired from the Air Force, and I was able to go spend time with my parents and my brothers and sisters, and we had so much fun.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
How was your month?
Well, so Emmeline Jr. or Emmeline the younger is getting more and more confident in walking. We had her physical therapist last week, and she walked a good 5 feet, which is amazing.
Whoa.
So
yeah,
she's
awesome.
just, it's super awesome. She's just getting, and the more I encourage her, the more she does it. So that's really fun to see. I feel like everything else I've tried to do with her, I'm not as on top of, so she doesn't learn as quickly.
So for our listeners, do you want to just tell them how old Emmeline is so that they kind of have that as a reference?
Yeah, so she's 2 with Down syndrome, so it takes her longer to do things. And one of the things I'm supposed to be doing is teaching her how to use a spoon or a fork. And so I got little pom-poms, and she's supposed to scoop them from one thing to another. And she loves that activity. We just haven't done it in a while. And then another thing is to give her something she can't pick up with her hands. So she has to use a spoon or a fork. So ice cream or something. And I just haven't done that yet. But with walking, it's a lot easier because it's more right there. I don't have to prep for it or anything. I just stand her up and say, okay, come over here, or go to that person, or sometimes I have to bribe her. At this point, I want her to be motivated enough to walk on her own.
Right.
So we're working on that, which I think just the repetition of just getting her to walk and stuff. She's really good at holding hands, and she loves it. She actually enjoys walking, which is nice. So it's not a huge struggle to encourage her to walk. It's just, and she loves being outside, so that helps. There was a weekend that me and her just went for a walk, and we took her little stroller or her little walker, and maybe I'll get a picture of it and put it in the show notes so you guys can see what it is that she has to use. It's so cute. It's like those old lady walkers, but shorter and with wheels on all points. So yeah, and it's kind of wider too, but it's kind of cool. So yeah, she's just growing and maturing and understanding so much more. I see her grow, and I love it and I hate it because I want her to be my little baby forever. And in some ways she will, but in other ways she won't, because she's not going to be small enough for me to carry her around. It's already she's getting heavy. So But yeah, they can't stay little forever as much as I wish they would. But anyway, and then Anders, he was excited because since he's an August birthday and there's no school in August, his elementary school celebrates those birthdays during the school year. So
Ah.
his is March. And so on the 1st of March, I decided to let him get treats. And before that, he was like gathering his candy from his Valentine's Day bag to put in another bag so that he could give it to his classmates. But it
to
was like for
share.
one person, yeah, to share. He was like going to collect all these pieces of candy that we have around the house from like Valentine's Day to give to specific people in his class. And he's like, I need a bigger bag. I was like, what is this for? Like he kept asking for things and to do this. Like he wanted me to help him spell out Alex, which is an individual in his class. I don't know if it's boy or girl, but and then he wanted help he needed a big bag. A grocery bag wasn't going to cut it. He needed a bigger bag. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, it's for my class for my birthday. I go, oh, sweetie, we're going to go get something that's for everybody. So we're not doing that right now.
That's cute. I'm glad he was excited and he got to celebrate his birthday at school. Yeah. My kids both my boys have summer-ish. Well, Lorenzo has a summer birthday. So, yeah. He always got to celebrate it at a weird time during the school year.
Yeah. You're like, well, yeah. So he loves getting older. Like he is going to be excited when he's 6. And once he turns 6, I guarantee he's going to be like, hey, Mom, when's my birthday? When am I going to be 7? When is this? It's like, kid, just please enjoy your life. Stop wishing it away. So, but he's fun. So, yeah, we've just been, and Matt has been good. He's been getting work, so that's helpful. And the crazy busy time for my work is over, so it's still personal taxes that are due, and whatever wasn't due from March. So there's still that, but it's not as intense, and it's not as intense as your husband would have had to deal with it if he was still doing multiple clients. But I'm sure they're busy in their own right. So yeah, thankfully that has slowed down, which is nice.
Good.
So yeah.
Well, great. I've got the word of the month. So it is Coddiwomple.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So do you want to guess, or should I just...
Yeah, I'll guess.
Okay. Tell me what you think Coddiwomple means.
For some reason, I think of worms when I see it. But I was thinking of like something that hits worms for some reason. I don't know why. But I'm going to guess it means to thwart a worm's path as it travels along a wet sidewalk.
That's really fun. And I kind of, it actually kind of ties into what it actually means. As weird as that sounds. Okay. It means to travel purposefully toward an unknown destination.
Ah, which is what worms do. All the time.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
That is awesome.
I thought that word just sounded funny. So I was like,
heck yeah.
I want to know what it means.
Yeah.
So whenever you're like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm gonna do it. That you're coddywompling.
Yep. Okay, so there's been something I've kind of been pondering in my brain, and I feel like I'm making it work for what I'm thinking of. And so it's still a work in progress. It's still a thought thought in process. There's things that need to be flushed out. I can see it working and I can see it not working. But I was listening to a Taylor Swift song on the radio, not on the radio, actually. It was a family reunion CD, and somebody had picked I'd Be the Man. And as I was listening to this song, I was thinking, why do women strive to be like a man? What is it about that that makes that the goal? Like in corporations, in life, why can't we have our own? Let's be the woman. Let's be our own unique person that brings something else completely different to the table than what men bring to the table, because we both have our own features and things that we think about. I also saw a little clip of her talking about if a woman does something, she's emotional. If a man does something, it's tactical. It's like, who the freak cares how what you do qualifies for something else? So what if we're emotional? That's what makes us women. Like, that's what makes us who we are. We care. And so what if we're emotional? And so what if we're crazy? Like, we're women. They're men. They're logical. They think differently. We think differently. Why is it that we keep comparing ourselves to men, even in like the corporate world? Like, we have our own traits and our own qualities that men don't have. They have their own traits and their own qualities that we don't have. And that's perfectly okay. Like, the reason that there's differences in each gender or even in each personality is because we all bring something different to the table. And I'm not a career woman. I'm not striving to make all these thousands of dollars and be in the C-suite of a corporate office. So granted, I have like a different mindset of it, but even in my group of working people, I feel like each one of us are appreciated in our own way. Like, so in the accounting world, most women are doing the bookkeeping and the accounting part of it, and it seems like there's more men on the tax side. We do have a guy on our team, which he's awesome. We lost another one to a different firm, but he's kind of going in a different direction in his career. This other kid is, he wants to do finance, but he's still going through school. Anyway, so he's the only one. I kind of feel bad for him because he's surrounded by a bunch of women. But I don't know. Like, for me, I see it that there are different job careers that we choose based on what we want to do. And so why is it that we have to be like a man? Like, we're too different to need to be equal to each other or to be like each other or to be
compared.
Yeah, or to be compared to each other. And I just think that's unfair to both sexes. And I haven't had a conversation with somebody who's super staunch, like, no, we got to be like men, or a hardcore feminist or whatever, which I think is also detrimental, but that's a different topic. Anyway, what do you think about that?
Well, I have a couple thoughts. Lorenzo and I watched over the last while. We've been watching the Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Because we'd never seen it before, so we watched all the
First
seasons.
Season creeps me out. Like, I barely made it past that season. It was so creepy to me. Anyway, continue.
So in the second season, when Nancy's working at the paper, and she's surrounded by all those men who just don't take her seriously. All her suggestions or her ideas, they're like, hey, whatever, Nancy Drew. You know, they kind of belittle her. And so women in the workplace feel like, well, to be taken seriously, I have to be a man. And I don't think it's necessarily that that's how they want to think. It may come as how they see an entrance there, you know, like How do I
Mhm.
get these men to listen to me? Well, if I was a man, they'd listen to me. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if it's necessarily that women are like, I have to be a man. It's more like, well, they aren't listening to me even though I'm bringing good stuff to the table.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's necessarily like that they want to compare, but I feel like they're like, I don't know. And that's just me taking that from a show. Um I think
No, but you
I
have a very valid point. Like there there are times where, and whether or not it's present or not, but definitely in the past, it has been hard for women to work and to be taken seriously because of that type of environment where it was mostly men and the women had to adapt to be that way.
right.
But I feel like
Women have good
we've
qualities.
advanced.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
we've
men have
advanced to the point.
advanced. But I think there's still that lingering the way things have always been. You know.
Yeah, and even if that is present, it's like then do something different. Like I don't, and this is granted from the very little life experience that I've had, but the there's just so many different ways to do something. If you're not progressing where you're at, then start your own thing. If you're not being taken seriously, go talk to somebody else. Or I don't know. I
Right.
just, and this is also coming from me working in a place where I actually finally feel appreciated for my contributions. Before I'm working in a like mostly female team, and they're very supportive and they're very like figure out what you want and then fight for it. Um and I came from where a man was my manager and I didn't feel supported and he was very placating and I whether or not I was doing a good job or not, I never got told that because that would have been something different. So it was definitely different experiences, and I didn't have the knowledge to know exactly what I was doing. I was just doing whatever because I don't know what it's like, what an office manager looks like or an office assistant. Well, I know an office assistant looks like, but anyway, so it was just a totally different experience. And so being in a place where I feel like I'm contributing and supported, it just makes that fight, that desire to feel that way more important. And so if you're not getting that, then as a woman or as a man, find the place where you do. Find either the job. If you find something you love, then
Fight
I
for it.
don't know.
No,
Yeah,
I
fight
agree.
for it. I don't know. I like I said, it's just a thought that it's like even at this day and age, like I appreciate the women who have gotten us to this point, but I almost feel like we're going too far where now it's like
You
the
don't have
man
to
is
become a man.
trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the man should be belittled because he's not important. It's like, no, he's important just as you are. And so I feel like it's going too far that way. And um I don't know. It's just we're at a point now in our society where if you're not being heard, if you're not being appreciated, then do something else. Go somewhere else. Like you're not limited to what you are currently doing. Like there's so many opportunities out there. There's so many different things out there that it's like, and if you can't think of a way out of what you're in, talk to other people. Like there is just so many resources that you don't have to be a man to get ahead in society. You don't have to be like a man. Even if it's I'd be the man if I was like a man. It's like you don't have to do that anymore. Like I don't know. And
Right.
maybe
And you don't
Hollywood's different.
and you don't have to have the bullying mindset of I have to bring
Yeah.
them lower than me in order to feel good about myself. Like that isn't how we shouldn't want that either as a
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, you see that, and you see that man getting ahead or that woman getting ahead because that's how she treats people. He or she treats people. That's not the way to do it either, because they're not going to get that far. They will be lonely and miserable as they get older because they'll push everyone away from them. Like, kindness and compassion is what helps drive our society. And
Into a better place. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I agree. No, those are good thoughts. And I'm right there with you. I think that men and women are different and you're gonna contribute differently.
yeah,
And so we need to take advantage of those differences and help make those differences create growth
mm-hmm.
in whatever arena you're in.
Yep.
So
I concur.
good things. We're gonna change the world with our podcast.
That's right. One podcast at a time.
Yep.
On to our main segment.
Yes.
This season, or this episode, we watched okay, this podcast, anyway, whatever. We watched 5 through 8. So
season 1.
Yes.
So we got lots to talk about.
Yeah.
So our first you go ahead.
You go. I didn't know if you had anything written down, so.
No, you go ahead.
No, I wasn't saying nothing.
Okay, so our first episode 5 was about the Sean who was who went into a lake full of meteor rock, so kryptonite, and developed, and it's the middle of winter, so he came out like an ice cube.
Mm-hmm.
And needed heat to keep from freezing to death. So he kind of became obsessed with getting heat, and the best way for him to get heat, according to him, was body heat. Lasted longer, which is what he came to find out. And so he started this kind of like killing spree almost of girls that he had dated.
Yeah, because he was a numbers guy and he was trying to date as many girls as he could.
Yep.
So he had a lot of numbers to call to try and suck the warmth out of all these ladies.
So I thought it was really funny because at one point Sean hits on Chloe, and Chloe's one of Clark's friends. But he hits on her, and her reaction, because he gave her like one of these, pickup lines, right? And her reaction was just so real. She was like, did that just happen? Look on her face. And then she laughed and was like, does that actually work when you use those? And I was like, that was just so real of a reaction, because I've never gotten like real pickup lines given to me. But when we lived at Cinnamon Tree, there was one of the guys there, Robbie. Him and I kind of went through this thing where, as a joke, we'd send each other like pickup lines via text just to make each other laugh. And it was so fun. Like, we weren't interested in each other at all. We were just friends, but we'd do it as a joke. Like, ah, ha, ha. Hey, good looking, what's cooking, or whatever, at dinner time, and, just funny stuff like that. But I thought it would be fun to rattle off a few good pickup lines that we've heard or read or something. So, Kendi, do you have any? I'll share one, and then you can think of a few. So,
okay.
Well, here I am. What are your other 2 wishes?
That is so good.
And here's feel my shirt. Know what it's made of? Girlfriend material. Okay, and it's a good thing I have my library card because I'm totally checking you out.
Were these ones you gave to him?
Yeah, these are some of them. Are you Australian? Because you meet all of my qualifications. And then this one I didn't give to him, but I read it somewhere, and I thought my boys would like it.
Mm.
My love for you is like diarrhea. I just can't hold it in.
Oh my goodness. I'd love to see somebody try and use that in earnest.
I know. Oh man. Okay, so you got one or two?
I have a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one, it's hunting season and it's you season. And I'm pretty sure I quoted that wrong because I don't think that's the actual saying, but
Okay.
and then just one that everybody's heard of. Did it hurt when you fell out of heaven?
Aw.
I feel like there's one where it's like, are you exhausted? Because you've been running through my mind all day.
Oh yeah, yep. or if you were a vegetable, you'd be a cucumber. or if you were a fruit, you'd be a fine apple.
Man, you're good with these.
Oh, Robbie and I had so much fun.
Sounds like it. That would be
Hi,
a blast.
Robbie, if you're listening.
Yeah. Good times. Good times.
That was great.
Yeah.
All right, so you had a question that tied into this
From
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, would you rather be hot or cold?
I always had an answer to this, but as I aged, it's changed. Because when I was younger, I was like cold every time because I can always put more on, right?
Right? Yeah, or move around.
Or move around. But now that I'm older and I'm just like, my feet never can stay warm anymore. I'm like, maybe it's hot now. I don't know. I still think it's probably cold, but man, I just wish sometimes my feet would be warm.
Yeah, they never. You should get like one of those because they have those electric jackets. You should do a patent where they have like electric socks. Yeah.
I don't know. There's like pressure that you put on your feet all the time that makes it probably that those aren't very safe. But
well, it doesn't have to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
Your sole, like just the top or the sides.
Yeah. Maybe I could.
Yeah.
Or one of our listeners can.
Probably don't even. Yeah.
There's money there. I promise.
$1 million idea, people.
Yep. Because there's more than just me that has cold feet.
Yep. And they do say that women are the ones in the household that buy the most. So women would be the ones that would be buying this product.
So what about you? Would you rather be hot or cold?
I did have to think about it because, yeah, like you, my answer was always cold because I could always put more on. But I think it's hot now because you can always find ways to cool down, kind of. I mean, and the question doesn't specify like you're in Alaska, so you can never get warm, or you're in Arizona where it's like 110 and you don't have air conditioning. So it's like, I would rather be hot because there are ways to cool down. Like you go swimming, or you have a water fight, or you have a water gun fight, or, you know, just lots of things. Or you go into your air conditioned house. Yep. I'm always cold at work, so when I go outside it's almost like I thaw off. Now I'm cold, so when I get in the car I get warmer. It's weird.
Okay, so the next episode, the 6th episode, was about Cassandra, and she was near when the meteor shower happened and it affected her vision. So she's blind, but when she touches people, she can kind of see their future. And she was actually one of my favorite characters in Smallville. Like, she's just
Yeah.
this nice old lady, and she wants to do what's right. And she ends up meeting Clark, and she figures out who he is because she's seen him in lots of other people's visions where he alters their futures because he's there
Mm-hmm.
and gives them hope and stuff. And so she's like,
Yeah. She's like, you're there to help them. They're in pain before you show up, and then you show up and
and they're
there's
better.
comfort.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so, and she's like, I will keep this secret. Like, I won't ever tell anybody. And it's like this first person outside of his parents that he can go to and kind of talk to. And it's just this comfort for him. And she's just this little sweet old lady.
Yeah.
But do you have any stories about like grandparents or, advice that you've gotten from somebody older than you that you want to share?
Yeah. Some advice I got from my older brother once was to, and I didn't listen to it, which now I look back, it was super unfortunate. He's like, everything you earn, put like 10% of it in savings, no matter what. And I didn't. I was like, I don't know why I didn't. There was
You're
something
like, I
else
need
to
that
it
money.
too. Yeah, I was like, because I didn't understand the whole concept of save money, which is unfortunate because there were lots of times where I could have. But anyway, I'm really bad with it. So that was wonderful advice. I just wish I had listened to it. And then I don't really have any stories, and I can't think of any more advice. So what do you have? I know you said you've got some stories.
I've got a story. My grandpa Carl is my mom's dad.
Okay.
He lived on a big farm, and I loved going and visited him because you could always feel his love for you, and he had tons of grandkids, but he kind of spend special time with each of us. And one of the things he did with me is we'd go on motorcycle rides. I'd hop on the back of his motorcycle with him and we'd go check on the sheep or the cows or the fence, go out in the hay, go check on the hay bales or feed animals. Anyway, stuff like that. And when I'd ride on, he'd sit me right in front of him, and he would sing in my ear as we rode on the motorcycle. Every time he'd sing me my own special song.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was, Emmeline, I love you all the time. Won't you be mine, Emmeline?
Oh,
and it was just,
cute.
it was the best, and I loved it. And old people they just contribute so much to the young people around them's lives. And so, cherish your old people, listeners. They have a lot of love to give, and they've lived through life. They probably have great advice for you. So,
oh yeah, that is very true. Yeah. That's so sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so now we got the 7th episode was with dun, 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 dun. Did you recognize this character?
I did. I did.
Jody.
Yeah, her. Why can't I think of her real name? Did you write it down?
Amy Adams.
Yeah, that's right.
So Amy Adams, this was one of her first appearances in television. So she is a character that's kind of overweight, gets made fun of, and you can tell she's trying to lose weight. She's got all these like cutouts of supermodels on her wall, and she's doing diets, and she has this father that just loves her. Like,
he was super sweet.
Yeah, he's just like, honey, it doesn't matter your size. You're the best because you're you.
Yeah.
And it was just terrific. And you could tell she's like, yeah, but I want to be, not the fat girl at school. And So she was just struggling with this, and she's friends with Clark and Chloe and Pete, and and they seek her out, and they don't treat her horribly. But then there's the
Mm-mm.
jock kid that's a jerk to her, and anyway, so you get to see Amy Adams as a character in a Superman show prior to her becoming Lois Lane in the future. So
Yeah, that's true.
it was kind of fun. And she does this
Full
kind of
circle.
thing that they did, with computers and stuff where they kind of stretch out her mouth really weird. It kind of
Yeah.
creepy looking, but
Yeah.
it was, I don't know why I brought that up. It looks weird and it's kind of creepy looking, but
It does.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. To where she like devours. She's almost like they're trying to make her mouth like a snake, like it disconnects, but her skin stretches, and so
Yeah.
she goes to devour a deer because the shakes that she makes has kryptonite in it, and so that's affecting her body, and so she loses all of her weight, but then she just is starving all the time, and so she has to eat fat, and so she accidentally hits this deer because she's driving frantically somewhere, I don't know where, and she hits a deer, and then she eats the deer, and then she gets the guy alone who made fun of her, and she devours him.
Yeah, she says this line to him because he's like, "Hey, you don't really you aren't really mad at me about all those things," because he thinks she's very good looking now, so
Yeah.
he's kind of hitting on her and stuff,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, you mean when you called me names, making me cry, making me wish that I were dead rather than fat? Is that what you're talking about?" And I was just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
like that's what it was for her. She
Mhm.
wished that she was dead rather than fat. Like it was a big deal, and so that she went to this extreme kind of made sense, but it made me think of with diets or a big topic of bulimia, because it's almost like she didn't ever like purge, but
Mhm.
the definition of bulimia is an eating disorder in which large quantity of food is consumed in a short period of time, often followed by feelings of guilt or shame. And I'm like,
Mm.
that's really what it was.
Yeah, that's true.
Because she was just consuming all this, and then she felt bad that she had to alter herself in order to like the way she looked.
Yeah.
And at one point, she was looking at an old picture of herself with her dad and how happy she looked. And she was like, I wish I could go back to that.
Mhm.
When it comes to diet and your health, it's kind of a very individual thing because everybody's bodies are different. Like for
Oh, yeah.
me, all growing up, partially because of my cystic fibrosis, I couldn't gain weight. Like I had
Yeah.
the hardest time putting weight on my body. And people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're so lucky that you can eat whatever you want and not gain anything." And
You're like, "Yeah, having a terminal illness is exactly what I want in my life."
exactly. It was partially that, and it was partially like I knew that because my weight was poor, I would get sicker.
Yeah.
Because your body is trying to compensate staying healthy when you don't have any fat on your body, it makes it really hard for you to fight germs.
Yeah.
And I would get sicker because of it. So for me, I'd kind of laugh because what do you do in that situation? Like,
Yeah.
no, it actually sucks. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I also looked at it in a light of it is good because I can eat all the things that I love. So I
Hmm.
try to tell my brain, be grateful for this, that I can just eat whatever I want. But really, it was really hard. And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of at the opposite end of that bell curve of it, that I just had to consume and consume. And sometimes I'd get tired of eating. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to keep eating. I'm tired of it.
Right. Yeah. Well,
It-
especially if it wasn't, because I mean, even everything you had to eat, it probably wasn't like, I'm sure it was making a difference, but not big enough to where you had the fat that you needed to be healthy. Because
yes.
I'm sure not having that extra fat also affected your lungs and also affected everything else that your
Yes.
cystic fibrosis is affected with. So it's like, sure, I don't have to worry about my weight in that on that side of it of being too heavy, but I'm too light. I don't weigh enough. I am underweight. I am malnourished, not intentionally.
Yes. And it was hard, and I'd
So,
have to go to the hospital, and I'd have to, like, there were things, and maybe there's people out there listening to this going, "Psh, whatever." No, it like, don't discount somebody else's problems just because you don't, it's different than yours.
yeah.
There's struggles for everybody.
Oh
um
yeah. And even if you did have this perfectly thin, like curvaceous whatever body, like no woman that I know of appreciates their whole body. And I mean, there are those out there, and great, you are one in a million. Good job. Please teach the rest of us how to appreciate our bodies. But I feel like for the most part, there even if you have this perfect body, there is something about your body you do not like, and it makes you feel shame. It's something you grow up with that it brings all of those feelings maybe. And my little sister, like, she pops the kid out and she's back to being thin and she hates it. She is cold all the time. So, yeah, even if you are fat or you are thin, like, there are issues whichever way you go. I haven't had to like keep up with a consistent physical routine because I was blessed with metabolism, and now I've had kids and I'm older and my body is unfamiliar to me, and I'm not blaming anyone but myself because I know that I need to start working out or start moving my body and being okay with how my body has changed. It's definitely like a personal journey that I feel like everyone else shouldn't be judging you on.
yes, so true. And there's things that maybe just take a moment and think about, maybe something that you can appreciate about yourself. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too bossy about to our listeners.
No, I think I get the direction that you're going. It's just being able to appreciate and love what you do have, and it's changing your mindset because you're not going to be able to change your circumstances, or you're not going to be able to, change anything out of your control, but you can change your mental state on, okay, I hate this about my body. Why do I hate it? What has brought me to this point? How can I change it? How can I appreciate this? What gift, like, what has this brought me into my life? Like, I don't know, maybe humility because you don't have this perfect body, and that's great because it is part of what creates your character.
Mhm.
It like who the things that you have experienced is what makes you who you are, and to just internally take that and say, okay, I hate this about my body. Why? Like mine, it's my stomach. Why? Because it pokes out. But why is it important that it looks flat? Because maybe I'll look more sexy to my husband. Or maybe because I'm so used to having a flat stomach that now I'm about to be 40 this year, and I have this stomach that bulges out and it looks awkward. And I need to appreciate this because this stomach has housed two human beings that are now in my life. And so my stomach has this great potential and this great power to do this thing. And so, yeah, it's not going to be like this perfectly flat stomach. And yeah, I could go and get it procedurally fixed. I'm not going to because it's expensive and mostly because of that. But it's like, this does not define me. This is a very small portion of who I am. Because I have this tummy that sticks out, like maybe that just makes me more humble and be appreciative of others who have worked so hard to get that flat stomach. Or if you're like my little sister and are blessed with the ability just to live your life and it's not flat, but she probably wishes it was. She probably wishes that she could keep some fat on her body because she's cold all the time. That can be so draining and it can be so exhausting. And so it's just, everybody has something that they're struggling with. And I feel like with bulimia, with the diets, that's another thing too, is like these businesses that are trying to sell you on these diets, like they are trying to make money off of your weakness. And that's not right. That is so wrong on so many levels. And just you being able to take back that control to say, you know what? This is what I don't like about my body. Why? Why do I not like this? What is it that makes me hate this part of my body? Is it advertisement? Is it something people say? Is it just myself telling me that I'm ugly? Like, if figure out what it is, why it is that way, and change it. Like, you don't have to live a life where you hate yourself. There is better out there for you. So I don't know if that's what you were thinking of, but
no, that was all good. That was good.
Ran with it.
You did. It was awesome. Good on you.
Yeah. I have strong feelings about self-care.
Self-love. Yes.
Yeah,
Love yourself.
Yeah, we don't love ourselves enough. Sometimes we feel like we love ourselves too much, where it's like, I'm being lazy and I'm not doing anything. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like altering your mind to be okay with who you are.
Yes.
And if there's something you don't like and you can change it, then change it.
Yes.
Take ownership of what it is that you don't like about your life and change it. If you've tried and you can't, then do something mentally where you're like, okay, I've tried. This is not happening either one fast enough, or I can't change this about myself. Then learn to appreciate it, because who you are and your personality and what brings you to the stages in your life are what shape you and what makes you special and important to everyone.
Yes.
Anyway, I think I'm done with
people.
that. Yeah.
No. I thought it was, I just wanted to touch on this part. There was one thing that at one point when Jody's sitting in the bathroom on the floor, her dad comes and he's like, I got to go out of town. And you could tell he was kind of going through this struggle that he knew something was off. Mm-hmm. And you see him like hesitate leaving because he was like, I need to go in there and see what's up. And he hesitates grabbing the doorknob and she's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just like, I'll be okay. And so then he leaves and it kind of made him back off. And I know that there's times where we, I don't know, lie to ourselves about things. And when people reach out to try and help us, maybe take that help. Don't be afraid to take help from people that want to be there for you because they love you and they care for you and they care for your well-being. So
Yeah.
be ready to accept help. And if you're in a situation where you can be the one giving the help to those that need it, there are people in our lives that need us. So we can do that too.
Yeah.
Just good things. All these good things that these shows make me think of.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
so
thought-provoking.
the 8th episode is with Earl, and he has all of these. He has these tremors because he was cleaning at the Luther Corp, where they were
Plants.
experimenting with these
Smallville.
plants, and they would rain down on them like meteor rock juice to help them grow.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
an experimental thing. Anyway, he ended up being in there one of the times where they turned on the juice onto the corn, and he
Well, I
started.
think there was an explosion. He
Oh
said
yeah,
that there was an
there was
explosion,
an
and
explosion
the kryptonite got in his skin.
into him. Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was in there while it went off, and so and it got into his skin, and the way his body was reacting to try and get it out of him, he'd have like these major like shaking fits. Anyway, and they kept getting worse. And he tried again and again with doctors, and they couldn't figure it out, and anything, everything. But he finally decided, well, I need to get back there so I can get this stuff that affected me, so I can take it to the doctors so that they can figure out what it is and get it out of me. And so, and he tried all these different ways. He tried to go see Lionel Luther, you know, the head of Luther Corp, Lex's dad. And, you know, and again, with all the doctors, and he was taking all these medicines, and yeah, it was just getting worse, and nobody was helping him. So he kind of got to the end of his rope and ended up going to Luther Corp and taking
to the plant the same day that the high school is having a tour.
Yes. And so he kind of took the kids hostage at the plant in order to get his demands met. He didn't want to harm the kids because you could tell he was a good guy. And I say that, you can tell he was a good guy, but he took kids hostage. So no, he wasn't a good guy, but he was at the end of his rope. And this was how he was going to get his answers. He didn't want to hurt anybody. He just wanted answers. So I thought we could talk about situations where, like, as a mom, if your kid got taken hostage, like, how would you react? And I shared with Kendi, you know, it reminded me of the Uvalde school shooting, where the cops were there and they knew there were injuries, but because of what they thought was happening within the school, they didn't go in right away. And parents had showed up and were like, why aren't you in there helping our kids? And what's going on? And there was one mom that went around the school and found out where her kid was and got him and some of his classmates out, you know, like, just like, how, like, would you be able to stand there and watch the cops just not act? Like, if my kids were in a hostage situation, what would I do? And I wish that this wasn't a scenario that I needed to know. Like, how would I react in this situation? I wish I didn't need to know how I would react in this situation. I wish it wasn't as common as it is. Like, how sad that is. That that's a possibility.
Yep.
And I am very much a person that likes to follow leadership. Like if there's leadership going on and they know what they're doing their job, I'll let them handle it. But at the same time, if there is danger to my kids, I might be like that one mom
Right?
and
That's what
run
I was
into an
thinking.
open window and pulling kids out.
Yep.
Like, I would much rather forfeit my life than the lives of children.
Yeah.
Like, the shooter's in that room and he's gonna get me instead of the kids. Like, I would volunteer as
Yeah.
hostage, you know.
Yep. Be like, take my place.
Yeah, I'll take the kids' place. I will do that. So, um but I've thought about it and I'm like, what would I do if I get a text from the school there's an active shooter? Like, I would probably rush to the school like every other parent. And then
Oh yeah.
then the cops can't get in. You know, like, that's a mess. Like, you can't do that. And it's just because you got to be able to let them get in and do their job.
Yeah, and I think in that school situation they were misinformed. I don't know who was in charge of telling whoever what was going on, but apparently the cops weren't acting because they thought the shooter was barricaded in. And
Yes.
so it needed to be handled differently. But
It
it
was a
was
hostage
actually
situation, not a barricaded in situation. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, because I think if you're told there's an active shooter and you don't see the cops doing their, based on the information you're told, you don't see them reacting, then it's like, okay, you're not going to do it. I'm going to do what I can to get my kid to safety.
Yes.
So, yeah, because I'm the same way. I would listen to the cops, but after a while, it's like it's 10 minutes have passed and you've done nothing, and there's an active shooter in that school. If you don't act, I will. Because yeah, your life is in that building,
Yeah.
and you would do anything to get them out. Yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad that this is the world that we're in, where any school is a target.
At the very end, they ended up getting the hostages out, and Clark and Lex come out to their parent, and
Mm-hmm.
Clark runs over to the Kents, and they're hugging him and they're smiling and loving on him. Oh, we're so glad you made it.
Yeah.
And then you see sharp contrast of Lex going to his father, and there's criticism there. Like,
Yeah.
the very first thing that Lionel Luthor says to Lex was criticism. You should have handled that differently. And then they hug for the camera, not because they
Mm-hmm.
actually wanted to hug. And then you
Yeah.
see Lex look over at the Kents, and you just see him go, I want that.
Yeah. Yep.
And throughout the show, here's a hint to Kendi, you kind of see how different parenting kind of molds these two young men into the men that they become. And it's just really interesting. So it's kind of like nature over nurture is at play kind of the whole show. Is it because of the person that they are, or is it because of how they were raised? And it kind of plays with your mind, like, I don't know, it could be this, it could be this, but you really, when you see that, like when they come out and you see the way that their parents react, and you're like, whoa, like that is so different.
Yeah, it definitely is the whole nurturing thing.
Yep.
at play in those situations for sure.
Yeah. So it's just, I love this show. I love this show so much.
Yeah. Yeah, because the whole thing with the nature versus nurture is even if you had a troubled kid, like just being there for them consistently is that makes a huge difference.
It does.
So interesting. Maybe that's why he starts. It's not so much that they fought with each other, it's that he's rich and has almost everything, but he wants what Kent has, which is a loving family. And the fact that because I'm almost thinking too, it's the fact that Clark won't let Lex in. Like and this is speculation because I don't know if at any point because I guarantee, Lex finds out that Clark is strong or whatever. But it's almost like that plays into the whole keeping him at a distance. He finds out about it, and then that just kind of builds a wedge because their friendship is only circumstantial, not deeper than that, because Clark has this situation where he can't tell everybody, but Lex kind of is trying to figure it out, and then he finds out, and it's like, you could have told me, and it's like, no, because you're this way, and that's not nice. Or whatever. That's like the worst way to say nothing.
That's some good speculation, Kendi.
But-
I'm not going to say anything, though.
I mean, it's Clark Kent and Lex Luthor. It's kind of written in the stars. So
you know what happens in the end, but you don't know how they get there. So
yeah, that is true.
You gotta watch how they get there.
There's gonna be some interesting moments of like, yeah. Anyway, the build up. It's gonna be good.
It is. It is so good. We would love to hear from you. We post a question on our Facebook page along with pictures from the episode if you want to check those out. You can reach out to us there on Facebook or our email, and there are links to both those on our website, and they are listed in the show notes.
If you would like to help us grow, tell others about us. Maybe share something that you found interesting or perplexing, or you think I'm crazy because I don't think women should be like men in any way because we are great the way we are. And that Emmeline loves Smallville no matter how kooky it is. I think it helps that you have that history with your family, because this show is almost comical in watching because it's so old. It's like it's so old,
and you can see the oldness in the way that things are done. Like the CGI is pretty bad, but
yeah, of course CGI does not age well at all. That's
never
definitely
has.
something that doesn't age well. So that one's kind of funny. And then I think these episodes, there was one time I actually laughed out loud in a serious moment. So
oh no.
Yeah, I can't remember which moment, but it was pretty funny. But we would just like to thank Red Production for the music and Jonica for the logo. You did such a great job. And to our listeners, we are happy that you listen to us, and because we would be here actually, even if it was one listener, because it's really fun to talk to Emmeline. So, but we are grateful that you do listen and that you do get hopefully something out of us. So we appreciate you.
Toodle pip.
Yes. All right. So Anders is learning some things in church, and on our way home, he starts to tell me the stories of Adam and Nephi. I don't know how this came about for him, but he got Adam and Nephi confused because apparently it was Nephi that was in the garden with his sister and then did something naughty and got kicked out or something. It's like that. I can't even remember what he said about them being in the garden. And then Adam was the one that went into the wilderness with his family. And then Nephi somehow got in there to build the boat with Adam. And then Adam was hanging out with his brother. Anyway, it was hilarious. He just got those two confused and mixed up, and I was like, well, it wasn't his sister, it was his wife.
And it wasn't Nephi, it was Adam.
It wasn't. Yeah. He's like, nuh-uh, and he knows everything already. I have a 5-year-old who already knows everything. So I was trying to tell him the correct way, and he's like, nuh-uh.
You're wrong, Mom.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun life. So.
Oh, man. That's great.